Hello everybody, this is the Goofsome Fox coming at you with a match here in the Bull GTB, and this is the most recent banner suit here. This is my third match, I believe, here with this suit. This is going to be a 550 cost rated match here. I'm going off basic game mode here, and yeah, starting off strong by already getting shot here, but yeah, we're on colony drop area, and yeah, the Bull GTB here. It's been a alright suit to play. It is a General at 550, and yeah, it is a brand new Thunderbolt suit for us to mess around with here. Last time we got a Thunderbolt suit was all the way back in April, that being the Psycho Zaku Mark II, so it's been quite a while since we've seen another Thunderbolt suit in the roster here, and accidentally knocked over my teammate Conroy J in there. Said a little sorry in the chat there, but yeah, when it comes to this suit, if you see my testing video, you know I already did play a few matches with it before that. This is actually one of those matches I did before the testing video. And yeah, I said it was a pretty alright suit from my first impressions on it. And that's kind of how my overall opinion has stayed. It just still feels like a pretty alright suit. Yeah, you have a lot of the basic kit. You have an instant stun bazooka. You have a beam saber. You have a arm beam cannon. And not really a beam cannon, a beam rifle. And that arm beam rifle, I think, is kind of like the suit's weakest weapon because you do need to at least get 3 shots, I think, on most things for it to be a stun. And it does alright damage, but I do feel like one of the other sub-weapons I'm going to talk about are a bit better at getting that accumulative stun. You have a beam rifle that is held by the sub-arm. This is an instant stun weapon, and it's a pretty good beam rifle overall. You have some chest missiles. These can be tracked, or you can control them like depending on where you're looking at. And you have special missiles, which instant stun and can slow down targets apparently. So yeah, you have a lot of nice weapons going for this suit here. Yeah, I do feel like those missiles are much better for getting the accumulative, even though it does fire all of them at once, so unless you probably switch weapons quick enough, you really have no control over how many of those missiles you use, unfortunately, but they still do they do a good job at getting the job done, so use job twice in that section, so boy. Got a tackle in there and a counter, nice beam saber counter with some nice damage on what looks like a GP01 there. But yeah, some of the other recognizable stuff for this suit here. I guess I'll go into the one major con I have with the suit. I guess we could say technically two, because one thing about this suit is, if you've seen any videos about it, you do not have a dodge roll on this suit, so it is something you do need to consider. You have a dodge roll of no kind. You do have maneuver armor though, so if you are boosting, then that will greatly reduce your chances of getting stunned. But yeah, no dodge roll of any kind, and the biggest thing I want to point the attention to here, I pointed this out in my testing video, is those shields, and well, they don't actually count as shields, and there's no maneuver armor, not maneuver armor, but no active guard skill on this suit. So what do those shields do exactly? Well, you have a skill called Sub-Arm Special Cushioning, and according to its description in-game, this reduces damage taken by 40% when sub-arm weapons are hit. It lowers hit reaction from non-tackle based attacks that deal 1,500 damage or less damage, and it also reduces stagger from cumulative damage. So yeah, they're kind of situational on how they work, and they're just so wide all the time, so I feel like they do just extend your hitbox a bit, which I don't really like about this suit. I kind of wish they were just shields, considering this thing's part slots. You have 24 medium range slots on this thing, so if these were actual shields, like a shield build would actually be a very viable option to make this thing kind of tanky, because you have 28 ballistic and beam resistance and 15 melee resistance, so having real shields on this thing wouldn't really be that much of a stretch, I feel like. Or again, active guard might be another good option. Maybe, I mean, I don't know if we need another active guard suit, or what would really make this one a bit more unique from the ones we have already? If they gave it active guard, honestly, it probably would be like almost like a lower cost version of the Gustav Karl, which actually could have been very interesting now that I think about it, if we had a lower cost version of that suit, basically. But yeah, as it stands, they do have some purpose, but again, they do feel kind of situational. They just extend your hitbox. I wish there was a way to, like, deploy them or something instead of just having them out to the sides, because I've had a few moments where I try to peek around a corner and get somebody, and yeah, my shield gets hit and I get stunned, and it totally interrupts whatever combo I was about to try to go into, so that is unfortunate there. But the suit does have some really nice damage potential. As you can see, I am doing quite a bit of damage, especially on the melee there, because you do have a poke down swing, and if you've seen anything about any suit that I've played that has poke, I really like the poke down swings, especially on supports, but when on other suits, they can also be really good. So yeah, I do really like that poke down swing. It does a lot of damage, especially to raids. And I think the one other thing I have to say about this is also a bit of a con. If I can remember what that con actually was. I don't... Oh, yes, aiming weapons. So when it comes to the arm beam rifle and the sub-arm beam rifle, I did find that they can be a bit hard to aim just from the way they're placed. I've gotten a bit better with it now that I've adjusted and played a few matches with it, but I've definitely had it before where it does feel like it can be a bit hard to actually aim them properly, so it is something to keep in mind with this suit, that you do have some left-handed weapons that you do need to account for, so kind of does play into what weapon you're going to use when you're peeking around a corner. If you are peeking from the right side, then you can use the bazooka, and if you're peeking from the left, you can try to use the beam rifle, or the arm beam rifle as well. Again, it's really just the issue of you really need to know where your shields are and what your hitbox is, just so you don't get accidentally stunned by somebody. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about the Bull GTB here. And like I said at the beginning of the video, yeah, it's a pretty alright suit overall. I think it could be worth getting. Even though, like, I've had some poor matches with it, I don't think it's necessarily a bad suit or anything. I do think it's pretty average for what it is doing for the most part, because I know, like, the biggest thing about it is lack of dodge roll. I think that is something that would deter a lot of people from getting it, and it's not like the Jesta or the Full Armor Mark II, where you do have the active guard skill to kind of compensate for that, so I do understand how that could deter a few people from getting this suit, but hey, real quick, timeout mission over, and let's see how we did this match here in the Bull G. Trying to give it some full armor Gundam colors from Thunderbolt, but kind of changed them instead. And hey, he did get top in diversions by the looks of it, and first place overall with 4 kills and 3 loss. Not too bad there. And yeah, again, try to give it some, like, full armor Thunderbolt Gundam colors, but kind of didn't like the way they looked on this suit, so I kind of changed a few things, just kind of make my own colors out of it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for that match there. And again, yeah, just pretty, I feel like, basic general overall, aside from, again, lack of dodge roll, but it does have a pretty good kit. You do have a bunch of instant stuns. You have, I think, 3 technically, because you have the rocket launcher, you have the sub-arm beam rifle, and then I think the special missiles, I think those do actually work as, like, instant stuns, so you do have a good amount of instant stuns there, and some pretty good damage, and like I said, kind of like the Gustav Karl almost. I feel this kind of gives me vibes of that suit if it was a lower cost and you got rid of the active guard. Kind of has that same vibe going on there. Not as tanky though as that suit, but I think that is a pretty close comparison, or at least as close as a comparison I can make to it. But yeah, I'm not gonna hold this video too much longer. Already going over my time a bit, so yeah, that's the end of this video here. Comment down below what you think about the Bull GTB. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Later.